Good morning. Happy Sunday. Hope everyone is rested from last night because we got a big day today. I thought I'd start by addressing people who are still kind of on the fence, specifically white people who aren't sure what the right thing to do is. And I'm going to give you more grace than most people will because I'm a white woman and I get it. The penalty for doing the wrong thing or making a mistake is higher for us than it is for a lot of the people around us, except for women of color, but that's a different story. Men never pay the price that we do. They can make mistakes. We can't. You don't want to do the wrong thing. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what the right thing looks like and what the wrong thing definitely is and how you have become a tool of the thing that you fear. So you're working for the racists and you might not want to do that. So let's start with reading some of my fan mail. You misspelled the N-word, misspelled loving, misspelled whore. Better keep an eye on your kids. We know where you live and how to get to you when you sleep. You fucking ugly grandma. I think that's supposed to be the C word. Yeah, so let's start there. What I think about that. You know where I live? It ain't hard to figure it out. Denver ain't that large, and Colorado, all you have to do is check the voting records. Anyone who really wanted to figure out where I could live could do so because I'm a public figure who's been on podcasts and am classified as such because that's how the police think of me. So thanks a lot, but yeah, I'll tell you why this doesn't scare me in a minute. Here's another one. You are playing with umbrellas. I have a former special ops concealed carry black belt bodyguard. You're raising money on GoFundMe. I have bank accounts with hundreds of thousands to draw on. Okay, I bet you also have a really large penis, but you actually might have that because you didn't mention that. I don't believe about the bank accounts because you had to tell me that you had them. I also don't believe that about the bodyguard for a second. Although I do believe that when you show up, you might be carrying because you bring white supremacists with you. So the reason none of this bothers me is I'm going to start from the basics. My name's Mary Catherine Brooks Fleming. I'm from a little bitty town in Tennessee you ain't never heard of called Tanglewood, between difficult and defeated on the way to Carthage. And my dad, when white people would ask, we would say civil rights law. When anyone else would ask, we said police brutality. Now, the reason that's the same thing, but here's the difference. White people don't like hearing things that are unpleasant because we have been conditioned to not get involved, to stay neutral, to not take sides, and that is seen as a good thing. And I'm telling you, it's not a good thing. I also grew up around hardcore racists, the ones that you think of when you hear my accent, because open-minded people don't judge people by the color of their skin openly. They judge us by how we sound, because y'all don't know what racism is. So part of that meant having to know which notes like these were legit, because we got them frequently, and which notes like these were actually things to worry about. Now, since we weren't attacking people, and I still don't, I'm not really worried about your bodyguard because I'm not coming after anybody. The umbrellas do serve a purpose because they just mean you can't live stream. And if you're trying to aim at something, you won't be able to get it. Hence the umbrellas. We're not here to attack anybody. We're here to protect Black people from Al-Qaeda. Because the real racists, by the way, they join the police force. They don't write notes like this. They don't talk about their bodyguards. And they don't tell us when they're coming. They just show up in the middle of the night. They don't warn us and scare us. That's what the cowards do. The people who actually want to do damage, the ones who can do damage, the ones who can act with impunity, to use a legal term for you, they're cops. They all join the police force. And those who aren't smart enough to join the police force, because you do actually need a modicum of intellect to qualify, they join the military. And then they come back and they join Al-Qaeda. So I'm not saying everybody in the military is racist. I'm not saying all cops are racist. I'm saying I know where the hardcore racists are and what they look like, and you just stay off their property and you're generally going to be fine. The hardcore racists, the ones who actually want to harm people, don't play with guns in public, especially at suburban high schools. They just don't. They don't tell you when they're coming. They leave a cross to let you know that they've been there in the middle of the night, and then they come back. That's how they operate. Now, the cross thing is not just myth. I know you've heard that it's a myth, but that is a really obvious stance. That's a ballsy stance. There are other things that they do in the middle of the night to let you know that you're on their radar and whatever it is you're doing, you need to stop or just go ahead and leave town. Those are the people to fear, not the ones who show up with guns. The ones who show up with guns are the ones who jerk off to Roadhouse, the straight people who jerk off to Roadhouse, who aren't female. Just saying. And if that's your choice, that is absolutely fine. But let's get real. That's kind of sad. So I tell you that to tell you this. If you are on the fence about coming out today to support the Al-Qaeda racists who are openly threatening children, who are holding a rally outside their school, and you're thinking of staying home because it's dangerous, because you don't want to get involved, because you're scared, you're working for these guys. By not looking at them, you're enabling them, because the only way they don't do anything is when they're outnumbered. And they're not going to show up and shoot. I mean, I can't promise you that, but I also can't promise that the person who shows up in the grocery store isn't going to, with concealed carry, isn't going to show up and shoot, or the person who manages to sneak a gun into the school isn't going to show up and shoot. We live in America, y'all. Guns are everywhere. This is one of the reasons why large crowds are dangerous, no matter what the people in those crowds happen to sound like or look like. It's the presence of guns. It's everywhere. And if you only just became aware of it because of the protest, then you are working for these jerks. You are. You're making it easy for them to keep doing what they do and shutting down these protests because you think you're doing the right thing and protecting people by staying home, and you're not. So again, I can't promise that coming out's safe, but I can't promise that anywhere is safe. I also can't, you're not going to convince me that this is any more dangerous than any other thing that we do here in America. But at least what I'm doing here today has a purpose. I'm going to take an umbrella. I'm going to push people back. I'm going to make sure they don't get a shot either with their camera or with their gun. Because if you can't see it, you can't shoot it. That's one of the first things you learn when, at least temporary +172. Oh, at least if you learned how to shoot the way that I did when I was little, like most of us did. We didn't have pistols. Those were for, honestly, they were for drug dealers and cowards. None of us had pistols. We had guns. We had large guns that we used to hunt things that we get into our backyard. Things have changed a lot. And there are a whole lot of people with a whole lot of guns that have never actually killed anything. And they aren't exactly excited to start, but they want to be there and be part of it. That's who these people are. They want the power, but not the responsibility. They want to scare you because that makes them feel powerful. The difference is they don't want to go to prison. They are not willing to die for what they believe in or for a little bit more power, because that power will be taken away if they went to prison. So I tell you all that to tell you this. These are bullies. And if you are not here protecting the children, if you're staying home because you think it's safer, then you are doing their work. You might as well be there holding a gun. So if you're immunocompromised and can't show up, that's cool. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about the people who are on the fence, who are thinking maybe I should just sit this one out. That's how we got here. That is how America got to this point, by you thinking that you were doing the right thing and that you were justified in staying home. Go have that conversation with your friends, your other white friends, who are going to assure you you're not a terrible person. I'm not going to do that. I don't care what you do, but I'm not going to talk to you about it or make you feel better about your choice to stay home because you were scared. Not only am I going today, I'm taking my whole family, my children. And if these people actually want to find my home, if they think they know where I live, they might want to think twice about the security system that we have. It's elaborate, to say the least. And I ain't talking about ADT. This is why I don't worry about things. I don't worry about very much. Part of being a woman that I had to learn when I was 19 years old is that it is every man's First Amendment right to harass us, stalk us, and scare us as long as they don't cross that line. All men, white men, men who want to scare people, know where that line is. And a lot of those same men have guns, write letters like this, and show up places. And they're only going to kill you if they're actually in a relationship with you and really have and are going to be driven to that point because you're going to put them there. The final note on this is that when these people show up and they want to escalate and they want to engage, if Black people defend themselves, Black people will go to prison for doing that. They will go to prison for throwing a punch, for getting the gun out of their hands and shooting them, or for picking up that hiking pole I encouraged everyone to bring and smacking someone over the head. They too will be charged. In a white body and white skin, you are far less likely to be charged. Again, I can't promise it, but we are prosecuted at a far infinitesimally smaller rate as compared to Black people when it comes to self-defense. And women can get away with self-defense when we are not actively in a relationship with our abuser. Let that sink in. If ever there was a time and place where I could fight back, this is it. And I've been in all kinds of places where I did not have the ability to fight back and win. I have that here. I'll take that bet. I'll take that risk. Coming to my door, I'll take that risk too. Anybody can find you at any given point. You can either live in that fear, or you can make damn sure those bullies don't want to come anywhere near your house. And that is how I choose to live my life. I'm not going to excuse you or make you feel better about how you choose to live yours. But I will ask you that if you're on the fence, come stand behind me. I'll be out front today. You don't have to stand with me. You don't have to agree with me. I know that that can be real polarizing, and no one's going to give you an award for your association with me. I don't care. There are all kinds of people who stand behind me, but are still, they want the protection that I provide, but not the liability that a friendship could bring them personally or professionally. That's cool. I'm still going to stand in front of you because I care about your safety more than I do your friendship. It ain't worth much. So if you're on the fence about coming to this student-led protest today, I'm going to beg you to do it. I'm going to have an umbrella for you. I'm going to coach you and love you all the way through this because these are just a bunch of redneck bullies. I know what rednecks are like. I know what the scary rednecks are like. And I know that you don't because you hear this voice and you think we're all the same. And I'm going to challenge you on that a little bit too. How open-minded are you really if you hear this and still want me to defend my creds as an anti-racist anywhere? Or if you just use that word? Come on, no one should, actions speak louder than words. How about you prove to me that you aren't a racist by staying home and being safe? But that's that. Thank you. And yep, Parasol Patrol is coming out today. Parasol Patrol is really amazing. They do great work, and they will have umbrellas for you to use. We have a few of our own. Black is better in so many walks of life, but in particularly when it comes to umbrellas, you want something thick and black that they cannot see through, so that you are literally, if somebody is trying to take aim, you're blocking their shot. Final thing to think about: if you are not a person who uses guns or has grown up around them, guns and races were part of the fabric of my life, whether I liked it or not, because of where we lived and because of my dad's work. So it is really hard to get a good shot with a pistol. It's why hunters don't bother with them. It's even harder. The bigger the gun, the harder it is to get a good shot. So the odds of anyone shooting into a crowd and getting you are pretty small. One, two, aiming for something and hitting it beyond 10 meters. Ask anyone who has any experience. It's really hard to do. It's really hard to do. So again, guns are scary, but they are scariest at close range. They're coming to shoot fish in a barrel, maybe. If they're going to shoot it off. If anybody shows up with an M15 or an AR-15, anything that's a semi-automatic, go the other way, get out the line of fire. But seriously, the odds of that happening are so small. They are so small. This isn't what they play with in public. They come out with big old bulges in their pants trying to scare you, not big old guns that the police could then arrest them for. Because remember, these guys want to be police but didn't make the force. That's why they joined Al-Qaeda instead. Because the only thing they can scare is you. And if you stay home, they win. If they are outnumbered, they won't show up. If they think that you're not scared, they won't be there. Because they only want to come when they can feel powerful. Otherwise, they're going to go home and jerk off to Roadhouse. And if you're gay, I'm not trying to shame you. That's lots of fun. It's the straight people who do it but don't understand what it is that they're doing. Those are the ones I want them to think about what they're doing. You ain't Patrick Swayze, and you won't never be. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad to know I do have friends, because if you looked at my inbox, I wouldn't necessarily know it. But at least if I am taking this, that means that there is a black person somewhere who is not getting it. And that's why I have to show up. I can't stay home. I can't be moderate. I'm not going to play both sides. I can see both sides. There are not two sides to every story, and there ain't two sides to every argument, especially when it comes to bullies and racists. There you go. Sitting home and staying home does not give you moral authority over anything. You aren't Switzerland. You aren't neutral. And by the way, if you think Switzerland's a good thing, then you might want to do some reading about the Holocaust. Ugh. There ain't no such thing as neutral when people are dying. Thank you. Thank you. I feel seen and I appreciate that. Thank you. Olympic champion TB. If you don't follow her blog, you need to. She writes beautiful, beautiful stuff, and it's very exciting. Every time I see Tiana Bartoletta has written a new blog post, I'm like, yay, give it to me, queen. Anyway, You're coached. You are loved. Please don't work for racists today. If there are legitimate reasons that you can't show up, I get it. If you are not showing up because you're scared, though, guess what? You are working for the racists. Please don't do that. At least come by, drop off some umbrellas and bring us some supplies, or even better, go feed the homeless people that were swept over to 25th and Arapahoe up in 5 Points. Another sweep is supposed to be coming next week. Sweeps aren't solutions. They got nowhere to go. They're going to keep arresting them, and you can at least give them a warm meal before they get arrested again. You're coached. You're loved. Let's go win at not being racist, white people. I'll see you up in Thornton.